I mean, setting up the space, and especially like we are going to talk about today, setting it up ergonomically is super, super important.
Mhm.
Right now, we don't even know how long the kids are going to be, sitting on desks. We don't know any of that, but we're gonna go into it so that you can have some ideas of how to set it up if our child is gonna be sitting for longer than 3 hours, right?
Yeah, I
So
think this is so important. And as you said, the future of online learning and stuff is very uncertain. You know, how long it's going to be for, how many days per week that might be changing. But I think knowing that we're probably going to be dealing with this for a while, this is worth some time and effort to make sure that your kids have a space that really supports them physically so that they can do their best work mentally. Um,
yes.
right? So I think setting up a workspace in a place that is free of distractions or has the fewest distractions as possible. So maybe not in the main living space where there might be other people or their siblings running around or a lot of pets, doing their thing. Creating a space that is going to support a work environment and is going to help them stay focused while they're doing their
Right.
schoolwork,
Those are
whether that.
great points because, for example, my daughter, she's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna do my homework here because it doesn't require that much, concentration. Oh, I'm gonna do it in my room. I'm gonna do it." So it's like getting knowing our child, right? So is if we know that our child will do that, because there are some children who can sit in a common area and still concentrate. My
Mhm.
little one can do it. I cannot do it. I have to be completely distracted. So learning, like just taking your child's personality into consideration when setting up a space is huge, right? So yeah, so those are great tips.
Yeah, yeah. And some kids might do better where your parent is close by and can kind of keep an eye on things and keep them motivated. And as you said, some kids really need a quiet space where they're away from distractions. So you know your kids best, and maybe picking a location that's going to optimize the situation for them. Makes is kind of a big word that just is about creating a physical space that supports you for whatever activity you're doing. So, in this case, we're talking about kids probably sitting at a desk or some kind of tabletop setup and working on a computer or maybe writing. I don't know, do kids write on paper anymore? I'm sure they do. So, the important things to keep in mind when you're setting up this workspace. Well, first of all, I think ergonomics is an important thing to keep in mind because it will help them be more productive. It will help them stay focused because they will be physically comfortable in it. And it
Hmm.
will also reduce the chance of them having any kind of like aches and pains from the workspace. As adults, I think we understand that sitting for long periods of time really takes a toll on our bodies.
Yes.
So there are ways that we can make that a little less likely to happen.
Yeah, and like for us, we sometimes forget, even though we know that we need to get up and stretch and like every 15 minutes, 30 minutes or whatever, right?
Right.
So I don't know, do you have any tips for children when they need to take a break and they might not be able to take it, that things that they could do, like, at the desk?
Oh, sure. I think just doing any kind of movement. I know there are some um, chairs that are made specifically to kind of like wobble back and forth a little bit, and it encourages a little bit of movement. But I would assume that for the kind of in person, not in person, but like real time lessons that are happening with their school, like where they're actually sitting and watching a lesson, I'm assuming the schools are going to be really aware of this and understand that kids need to take breaks and those will be built in. But if they're just working individually, I think even just using a timer is very
Mm-hmm.
useful. And, setting that for however long, 25 minutes, I would say at least one time an hour. They should be getting up and doing a little bit of movement, like actually standing or walking around. It's also important because of eye strain to take breaks from staring at the screen.
Right.
And so that's another opportunity to do that and to kind of get away from, looking at the screen and looking at something so close up. So at least once an hour, ideally, I think every 30 minutes or so. So just some basics on an ergonomic setup. Keeping all of the joints of your body at a 90-degree angle is important. So if you think about where you're sitting upright and where your hips kind of meet your legs, that should be a 90-degree angle.
Okay.
Gotcha. So where your legs kind of stick out from your body. And then your knees should also be at a 90-degree angle. So from where
Okay.
your thighs are down to your calves. Your feet should ideally be flat on the floor or flat on a surface. Now, I don't, I'm trying to imagine little kids sitting with their feet flat on the floor, but
Right,
maybe.
but wait. So is there like because I've also heard that it is nice to have like a little elevation, like a stool or something that we can elevate our feet. So that's not accurate.
Yeah. Well, I think basically you want to promote that 90-degree angle at the knees and at their ankles. So their feet might not be able to touch the floor and be at a 90-degree angle. So in that case, yeah, you'd want to provide an elevation under their feet so that
Oh, okay.
yeah, does that make sense?
Yes, 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 yes. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
depending on the height of your child, and one thing that can really help with this is having an adjustable chair. So where the height adjusts so that you can maybe bring it up or down depending on, how tall they are to promote this. Another thing to keep in mind is you want a right angle, if I can kind of show this, like desk, you want your arm and your elbow, and then your arms are at the desk, but your elbow is as much of a 90-degree angle as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of us sit at a desk that's too high and we're typing kind of like this, or
Right.
low and we're like this, and those can promote, discomfort in your arms and in your wrists and stuff. So again, adjusting the height of their chair so that they can have that right angle with their arms on the desk is helpful.
Okay, okay. That's one of the hardest thing for me personally,
Mhm.
on my desk, right? So you all having that, and as a photographer, I'm sitting and then editing videos or like getting ready for the shows. I'm on the desk, right? So that what you're saying, like sometimes my shoulders kill,
Right,
you know.
because you have a weird angle and then you end up doing stuff like this, right?
Yes, yeah. So we don't want that for our children because then that they don't need another excuse to be like, I'm not doing my homework, you
Right.
know.
And it makes it hard for them to work if they're uncomfortable, right?
Right, right.
So yeah, so you might have to play around with the height of their chair. Some desks have that keyboard tray that slides out, and that's usually a little bit lower than the desktop, and that also can help with keeping the correct height where their arms are. Um, but play around with the setup and an adjustable chair, and really having a real desk chair, I think, is a good
Mm-hmm.
piece of advice. One that provides some back support. I know I'm really short, so I always have like a cushion or something behind me, and that just helps. It also helps promote good posture for them if their chair is well sized for them.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
my
So that, I mean, that's definitely a really good point because I have seen some setups that look cute, they're super cute, but they have a little like they don't have a back support. The
yeah.
it's so for a long period of time, that's that's not going to be comfortable.
No, I
Yeah.
agree. So, even if it's not the cutest chair, just something that's really functional,
Right.
that provides back support, that their back can actually hit the back of the chair, I think is a good investment, or, you might have something around. Another couple of things to keep in mind, the height of the screen. Now, this is something I'm not great about doing, but ideally when you're sitting at your desk, you should be looking at your eyes should be level with the top 2/3 of your computer screen.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a separate screen and keyboard and stuff, you can maybe elevate the screen for them. This
Okay.
will also help promote good posture because, if they're looking down, that's just going to promote kind of slouching.
Mm-hmm.
Screen is upright, it kind of it helps you stay in that upright
See, my
position.
kids are gonna have their Chromebooks, but they're gonna be with a trackpad, just like you were mentioning, and that like right here.
Yeah.
That kills, completely
Right.
kills. So that
And
is a great point.
it really hurts your hand, I feel, to use the trackpad, whatever that is. So having, you can get a pretty inexpensive wireless mouse that plugs into the computer, and
Mm-hmm.
that allows them a more comfortable way to navigate on the computer.
Yeah.
Lighting is really important for any kind of workspace. So ideally having some natural light coming.
Mm-hmm.
If you can set this up with a nearby window, that's ideal. But if not, having a desk lamp is a good idea. You don't really want to be in a very dim space looking at the screen. That creates a lot of eye strain.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, yeah, we talked about taking breaks and how important that is. Those are kind of my main points about ergonomic setup.
Actually, let me see. Let me play a video first of my niece. She actually
Okay.
got this awesome desk. I was super impressed with it. I heard that it was really nice to really kind of easy to build. But anyway, not to build, but to install. So
Okay.
check this out.
So this is my desk for school. This is what it looks like when I'm doing school. When I'm done with it, I can put it down like this for more space.
So video is it adjusts to the wall. Okay, so it
Oh,
attaches to the wall, and
mhm.
then when they're done, it comes down, and then they put it away. All right, so it's like end of the school, or actually end of the week, and you put it away, and then you have the rest of your room back to normal again.
I think
Right?
that's a great idea. Yeah, just especially if you're dealing with a really small space.
Right.
Having a desk that can kind of transform and just fold up against the wall is nice. And
Yeah.
again, that type of desk, really any type of desk, the important thing is having a chair that will allow you to sit at it at the right height. And
Mm-hmm.
and besides that, I think that's a great solution.
Yeah, this picture is really cool. It has a lot of motivational quotes and on the wall, and then it has her laptop and notebooks and just like that, and it has a bin next to it that she can put her papers and organization. The next picture that we have is minimalistic, and I know you love that word there, Carrie.
That's my jam, but I know it's not everyone, so that's
Yeah, so this one is minimalistic. It is my jam too. I love it. I don't like seeing clutter.
yeah.
So this is really cool, and it's actually the same family, and it has the desks are totally different, which it goes to show you just go and for what your children personality is,
Yeah.
um,
You
which is
also,
some.
if I can just jump in, you want this space to really feel like a place that they enjoy being. I mean, depending on the kid, they may or may not really be excited about sitting and doing their schoolwork. But the more it can reflect them and maybe having some things, like you said, up on the wall that they like, that, are sort of their favorite things or motivational quotes, I think, that's great. Make it personal to the child.
Yes, and that is very important because, as you mentioned, that it is their space. It is something that they, when they look at it and when they have those hard math problems or whatever it is, right? Social studies, and they can just look at something very nice and get them into the mood again. Uh, so, okay, so then the next step that we're going to show is another one that I don't know if it has a back, but I'm gonna hopefully my friend who sent me this is listening to this because this setup is pretty nice. Is clean. She has her books, her pencils, calculators, a nice light that is like a salt lamp that gives mood and stuff. Right? Awesome. But I think she has a stool, Carrie. I think there's a stool there, right? And it is
Yeah.
cute. It looks like it has a lot of cushion on it, but it doesn't have a support for the back.
I think for long term, having the back support is important. But try it out, see how it works. But yeah, that would be my recommendation is maybe
Yeah.
that out, or even just for school time, grabbing a chair that has the back, and then for every day when you just kind of want the space to look cute, have the
Yeah.
cute people there.
Yeah, when they're just like relaxing, texting,
Yeah.
whatever, that will work. But all right, so let's go to the next one, which is, let me see. So the next one is actually my daughter's setup. And I just did this today because we were going to be talking about this. But otherwise, I would not have done it. I was so like, I'm just. Mm. And she's like that too. I'm like, okay, baby, let's go get some stuff. And she's like, you know what, mom, school doesn't start until blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, we don't have to do it. So anyway, so thank you to the show. I did it today, right? To show everybody
Motivated, Anna.
that I am right in it. So okay, so I have a little stool there for her feet. The chair, I still don't have it because I have to figure it out what kind of what is the height. And she said that she wants a spinny chair, right? So
Mm-hmm.
let's just see what's up. But then now, Carrie, let's talk about organization and how the way those organizational tips that you have, I love both of them, but one of them I really really like them because I love collecting my child's stuff throughout the year, right? So
Right.
I'm gonna go to the first one that you sent me, which is bins.
Is this the plastic, the single bin?
Yes.
Okay, so these are some ideas about organizing all the paperwork that kids bring home from school. This might be a little different this year. I mean, I'm guessing there will be less just because many kids won't be in school as many days. And maybe there will be less use of paper and crafts and stuff. I don't know. So I think it's important for parents to have some kind of plan for how to store this stuff. And like when it comes home, when you're emptying the backpack, what happens with it? Because if you don't have a plan, it just ends up piled up on the kitchen counter or whatever, right? And so
Yes.
you have to deal with it. So giving yourself a physical limit for how much you keep, I find, is really helpful for people. So this one plastic case that I sent you, it doesn't have to be this specific item, but some kind of container that will hold stuff, but that isn't huge. Okay, so this one I think is maybe about like 5 inches deep or so.
Mm-hmm.
Try to consider that the amount of stuff you're keeping for the entire school year.
That's not bad. I was, you got me worried a little bit there because I saved. I have so much stuff saved, but they're a little tiny. They're paper thin, right? So there will be a lot that can hold a lot of stuff. I was worried a little bit when you were like, try limiting. I'm like, wait.
I do think the less you keep, the more meaningful each thing is that you do keep. So I advise parents to think about the stuff their kids bring home. Does it say something important about your kid at that age? Does it reflect like the skills that they're learning? Does it reflect their interest? Like, is it a drawing of the thing that they're into, whether it's dinosaurs or cars or whatever? Keeping those things, but do you really need to keep like every worksheet or every like fill in the blank thing or every spelling test? Probably not. Maybe keep a couple of those, but you can be somewhat selective here.
It's hard. It's hard. I'm telling you, it's hard. It can be hard doing that. I mean, like I with my kids' things and pictures and stuff like that, I am just like I want to hoard everything. I want to hoard everything, right? But for around the house kind of thing, I'm like plain. I don't want to see anything inside. I don't want. But when it comes to my kids, especially kindergarten, the elementary years, I mean, because you're seeing like their numbers and how they're progressing. I want to see the progression every month, Carrie.
Sure. This is going to be a personal thing. Like I'm looking at this long term. When your kid is 30 and the two of you are in a nostalgic mood and you're like, oh, let's bring out the school papers. If you have like one box of stuff, that's a reasonable amount to flip through and laugh at and get a kick out of. If you have like 12 boxes, nobody's going to be interested in revisiting that. It's just going to be too much.
Good point. 12 boxes might be a little bit too much. Good point.
Medium. So give yourself a limit for the year. And as you put stuff in that, if it starts to get full, then you need to start weeding some things out.
Okay.
And then at the end of the year, have something that you can archive these things into. And that's the second shot that I showed you, which is more of like a file box with
Okay, yeah.
you can pull.
So there it is.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
This
Okay.
is a basic file box. These are available from office supply stores. Any of the big box stores sell them. And this one holds the hanging folders. And then within each of the hanging folders, there's just a regular manila folder. You can get cute ones if you want. I just have basics in here. And there's basically one folder for each school year.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the year, take that bigger container that you've saved up their stuff in, and again, give it another look. Weed out some things that, they might have seemed really important back in January, but now that it's the end of the year, you're like, okay, I can part with a few of these. And then just put whatever you're keeping into that 1 year's folder in the file box in the archive. I think this is, again, a way to keep some kind of a physical limit and keep it all protected and have that structure set up so okay, at the end of the year I just have to flip through this stack and then stuff I'm keeping, put it in the box. And the idea is that when they go through when they graduate from high school, you just have one box of stuff. And again, I feel like that's a reasonable amount that moving forward, when you or they want to check it out, you can flip through that and be entertained, but you're not, keeping absolutely everything.
Okay. You know what? I saved for my daughter's, and she's already graduated college, and she's been in the workforce for a long time already, for like 3 years. So I'm gonna look through all the stuff that I have, and I'm gonna see how much stuff I have.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I'm gonna see. I'm gonna apply some of your tips.
Okay. And I think, also, like you said, when they're in kindergarten, when they're in the early elementary, they're bringing home a ton of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
By the time they get to high school, it's going to be really minimal. Like they're generally not, unless they're doing art specifically, they're probably not bringing home a ton of that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, you might have thicker folders in the early years, and then they're going to get smaller with the overall idea of like, we're just going to have one box that contains everything.
Yeah, we definitely have less the longer. Like right now, my daughter is in middle school, and the papers she chooses to give me are very little, right? They're very, very little. But then at the same time, we also have to think, you and I were talking about this, about now things are just going to be coming digitally. So we also have to organize how, those emails, having folders, and, just like in the physical world, we're going to have to do it in digitally now.
Right. In digital organization, we could do another show just on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I think the basic, if you can think about the folders on your computer, kind of like physical folders, and use some of the same organizational ideas. So maybe, you have one folder for each school year and you're putting things in there. And if there are kind of basic categories of stuff, you can create subfolders in there. But I don't want to open that can of worms too much, because
I know we'll be here forever.
Follow up about digital, but yeah, you're right that we may have less paperwork to deal with this year because of everything that's happening.
Yeah. And that leads us to one of our last points. So that's gonna be that next show, right? We're gonna have children talking about the first week of school. So we're gonna be hearing it from them how this new normal.
Gosh.
How they liked it and all this stuff. I can't wait, because these three guests I have, they're very opinionated, and they are free to tell it like it is. So I'm looking forward to that show. But before we end, you guys, let's give thank you so much. We're gonna go over your contact information, how when people want to get a hold of you to do what, Carrie? Go over again and what you can do for your customers.
I can help people, again, declutter. I can help them set up these kinds of filing systems in their home, whether it's for their kids, whether it's for your home business, whether it's just for household paperwork. I can help with, really any kind of organizing within your home. Decluttering is a big thing that I help people with. I give them that push to pare things down when they've gotten overwhelming. And then I can also help with interior design projects. So if you are looking to redo a room in your home, or even if you're just looking for advice on picking out a few new things, like we need a new sofa or some new accessories, I can help with that too.
Yes, and you can also help with this information. You know, the kids and it's setting up. Oh my gosh, the last minute. I don't have. Do you shop for your customers like when they need stuff? Do you?
Sure, absolutely.
That's awesome. That's a great thing. So then there is where you
You don't
can.
have to do any of it. You can just call me and I'll set it up for you.
Oh, there you go. Awesome. This is so great. And also, you guys, remember to follow all of my channels so that you can be notified when this awesome content comes up. I am on YouTube, I am on Instagram, I am on Facebook, obviously, and we come live every Thursday. We're going to be adjusting our times because school's starting, so stay tuned for that. But for now, just remember to follow my channel so that you can be notified of this awesome content that we have coming up. This is your girl, Anna Heed, who makes your life easier one episode at a time. You're watching Officially Unofficial. Thank you. Bye.